Good morning. My name's Will. I'm a technical trainer from GLiNTECH, and welcome to our cloud event. I'll be making a few announcements throughout the day, and I have some speakers with me to do the heavy lifting, so you won't be having to listen to my accent all day long. What a turnout. Thank you for braving the heat. We really appreciate your time today, and hopefully we can give you some information towards your journey towards cloud. Today we'll be addressing a few questions regarding the shift towards the cloud platform, and hopefully change your mindset about having to move to cloud to actually wanting to use the cloud tools. Here are some stats to highlight what users are complaining about nowadays. Quite a large amount of employees are complaining that they can't receive any information. This is due to siloed emails and also other communication chats. The most successful companies that we deal with leverage on the use of a single source of truth. This stat really caught my eye, not just due to the subscription fees, but also the question whether all these tools are fully compatible. This stat is quite recent, and yes, that is 130 SaaS tools. And the third stat to share is that almost half of workers are complaining that they are overwhelmed by the amount of tools to use. This is a result of that application sprawl. So how do we solve this problem? By simplifying it all. Less is more. Simplify your tech stack. Use only one fully integrated source of equipment and have all your tools fully integrated. Have a single source of truth by setting up a central repository. And this is all possible on the Atlassian Cloud platform. And we are grateful to have the speakers here today to give us some more information. Warren Jones joins us from Atlassian, and he will be diving into the cloud platform and also Atlassian intelligence. Alevia Thomson, our very own GLiNTECH consultant leading our Agile team, will be diving into all the cloud tools to make sure that we showcase it all for you today. The running of today will be a range of presentations, followed by a Q&A session. There will also be some demo stations at the back that everyone can go and have a look at the tools close up. We also have some cloud experts in the room, so please feel free to ask them any questions if you have any doubts whether you need to migrate or not. And yes, there is another option. If you are new to GLiNTECH, we are a one-stop shop for any Atlassian services. We are platinum partners with Atlassian, and we've been around for 21 years. So when you sign up for our services, you also gain our expertise. We have multiple practices, so please speak to any of our consultants today if you need any help with any of our services. We've also raked in a few credentials, and we might need a bigger slide next time. But the ones to highlight really is our ITSM specialization, and also particular for today is the cloud specialization. We also have more than 40 fully certified consultants, which means that whoever you deal with at GLiNTECH is an expert in the Atlassian tools. We think we provide great service, and Atlassian agrees. We were awarded the Atlassian Award for Professional Services earlier this year in Las Vegas, and we're very proud of this accomplishment. Go team. And so with that, I'll hand you over to Warren, who will be talking about the cloud platform.
Thank you, Will. I'll give my thanks to everyone for turning up today, just like Will did. As the Atlassian person, as part of this presentation, I want to give you a welcome to the Atlassian office. I'm sure you'd agree it's quite an establishment we have here. So definitely very much appreciate you taking time out of your day for this session today. Now, what I wanted to talk about was really our cloud vision. And we're going to do really short, sharp sort of sessions here today where we'll spend 10 minutes, try and hit those topics, hear a few different voices, but really to set us up today, I wanted to talk about our cloud platform in particular. If we think about Atlassian's mission, our mission is to unleash the potential of every team. If we think about our vision, I would sum that up today with a single word, and that single word is cloud. Atlassian ourselves are a very OKR-driven organisation. Our number one OKR at Atlassian is to shift our customers to the cloud. That is something we're very transparent about. We do it because we see it as being benefit to us, but also to you as our customers. We see us as being able to drive innovation quicker and deliver value to you sooner. So that's why we've taken this journey towards the cloud, and we want to take you on that journey with us. When we think about how we're able to innovate, one of the key contributors, ingredients to that ability is the Atlassian Cloud platform. And that's what I just want to spend a little bit of time focusing on in this session. So if we look at it, we've got the infrastructure. If we think about the Atlassian platform, it's a cloud-native platform as a service that's been built from the ground up. Now, we obviously had a choice to whether we just simply go and port our solutions from our on-prem versions to the cloud, or whether we reimagine how we're going to do things in the cloud. And we took that reimagine approach. It was obviously the more difficult approach, but it's the one that's paying dividends for us. If we think about that, we've introduced some challenges for us and for you in terms of migrations. But again, those benefits we derive from that decision have paid for themselves time and time over. If we look at it from a unified infrastructure perspective, we're able to provide data governance and compliance across all of our products with the Atlassian platform. If we think about it from a data layer perspective, it helps us manage our security and compliance products across all industries. And some of those industries are highly regulated industries, the likes of financial services, healthcare, government. So that's what we have to support with our solutions when we're moving those customers to the cloud. If we think about it from our infrastructure perspective, our cloud native hosted microservices allows us to be highly scalable and highly reliable. If I think about my journey with Atlassian, I've been here about 4.5 years, came across with the acquisition of Agile Craft. When I was sitting in the first summit, what was called then Summit, now it's called Team event, we spoke about how we were currently supporting 2,000 users in the cloud per product, per instance, and we were looking at starting off an earlier access program to support 10,000. Today, we find ourselves supporting 35,000 in our products, and with an early access program in play, supporting 50,000. So that ability to support those largest customers is available through the support of the Atlassian platform. So when we think about the benefits, the impact of the Atlassian platform, it's the ability to bring new feature and function and even new products, and we'll talk about some of those new products today, to the cloud, and then have that enterprise-grade reliability, scale, security, compliance, privacy, all those things we need to be able to make that transition. Sitting above that infrastructure and data layer is our experience layer. And when we talk about our experience layer, we talk about the capabilities that we provide within that experience layer. We have our collaboration capability, we have the analytics capability, the automation, administration, and the Atlassian intelligence capability. That's what I'm going to spend a little bit of time later on today, talking in more detail around Atlassian intelligence. If we think about collaboration, let's take an example there. Probably about a year or so ago, we came out with a new editor, really around the Confluence product. Confluence is that ability to share information across the organization. Creating content is really important. So we developed a new editor to support that content creation. That editor is now found its way across the Jira solutions and also into the Trello solution. If we think about analytics, this is one that you might have heard of more recently. It's something we made available at the start of this year. It's the ability to have an Atlassian data lake that is being fed with information from all the Atlassian solutions. That data lake can then be reported against using Atlassian Analytics. Atlassian Analytics is a BI reporting capability embedded within the Atlassian platform. So we think about it today, we can do our reporting against our Jira, different flavors of Jira, whether it be software, work management, or service management. We can do it against Confluence. We can do it against our DevOps tooling. And then as we look at some of these new solutions that are coming along, they'll start to feed that data lake too, and we'll get that benefit of having that inbuilt BI capability within the platform. Automation is an interesting one. Automation is one that's been around for a while. We've always been able to do automation against the Jira products, but what we've actually done is extended that recently against our Confluence product. So if you're having to do administration, if you're having to maintain housekeeping around Confluence, the automation capability with Confluence is a real sort of benefit in providing an automated response to those activities. Administration, we're talking about the administration hub, the administration console, the ability to manage our users, and also the Atlassian Access capability that allows us to have that security where we can have that SSO integration to authenticate our users and provide skin provisioning based on our IDP that you're running. And then Atlassian Intelligence, I said I'll talk about a little bit more detail, but just very briefly, it's around Atlassian Intelligence around leveraging our own internal models in collaboration with OpenAI. And I've got some really sort of cool use cases that I'll go through later. Now, sitting on top of that, we're starting to talk about our solutions and the products within those solution sets. Atlassian sees ourselves as playing in 3 different solution areas. That is Agile and DevOps, ITSM, and work management. If we're looking at it from an Agile and DevOps perspective, just to name a few of the platforms, just a few of the products, we're talking about our software delivery teams working within Jira Software. We're talking about our developers doing their Git code management within Bitbucket. So that's what we're talking about there in terms of Agile and DevOps. ITSM, we're supporting those IT operations and IT support teams within your organization and helping them deliver service. We're talking there about our Jira Service Management solution, Ops Genie, Status Page, again, just to name a few. Work Management's a really interesting one. It's a more recent addition to our product set, or really to our focus. And so what we've always heard is that we've been very good in terms of supporting our technology teams, but not really so good at supporting our business teams. So work management is focusing on those business users within our organization. How do we embrace, how do we encompass that work that's being done from the business and marry that work with the work that we're managing within our technology space? So we've got products there around Jira Work Management. Alevia will go into a little bit more detail around that later, but also the likes of the Trello solution as well. And then you've got something like Confluence. It's really feeding across all that those solution areas. And the fourth one that's not really a solution area, but it's really just another box on my slide there I can talk to, is really just those new solutions, news products that we're releasing. Again, Olivia's going to talk to a few of those products. We're talking about things like Jira Product Discovery. We're talking about Compass. We're talking about Atlas. So we'd love to sort of, if you to learn more about those solutions. Obviously, those solutions will find their way into the various solution sets that we have, but it's really being driven out of our incubation lab. And I think you'll probably recognize those people who have a long history with Atlassian. I don't think we've ever been as innovative as we are right at this point in time. The number of solutions that we're pushing out to market that are addressing key challenges is remarkable. Adding to that, we need to be extensible. We can't just be an island on our own. We need to be extensible. We provide our Forge development capability, and we also provide public APIs, REST APIs, to allow you to extend the platform. That allows us to extend it to have our customers, you, and our marketplace vendors, the likes of GLiNTECH, to expand on the platform by developing marketplace apps. It also allows us to develop integration with best-of-breed solutions, non-Atlassian solutions, the likes of Slack, Microsoft Teams, GitHub, those sort of solutions, being able to pull that information into our into our platform and into our products as well. Right, moving from the Atlassian platform, I just want to talk about that journey. And definitely will go into a bit more detail around that and how GLiNTECH can help you in that journey to the cloud. But what we want to do is change the narrative a little bit. We've typically spoken about migrating you to the cloud. We want to start to talk about transforming you to the cloud. We want to look at how we can do things better and how we can change our ways of working based on moving to our cloud solutions. We don't necessarily just want to pick up what we had yesterday and move it to the today. We want to look at how, step back and have a look at how we might do that in a more effective way. And that might not actually even result in a migration. And again, we'll talk to some of that later on. Now, I've got a slide here. It takes quite a bit of time to build, so let me kick that build off. And at the same time, I'll tell a little bit of a story. If we think about how Atlassian's success has eventuated, Atlassian had really good product. Let's talk about it from a Jira perspective, where people could get onto a website, download that, pay with a credit card, and overnight we found within large organizations lots of Jira instances in our environment. Somewhere along the way we went, hang on, this is really too hard. We've got tens of Jira instances within our environment. How do we make that a little bit easier? And so we went down this path of consolidation. We wanted to remove the need to have multiple people administrating those environments. We wanted to remove the need to continually be upgrading multiple environments and patching multiple environments. And we also had those silos of information as well. So we went down this path of consolidation. Now, again, in line with what I was talking about before, we get this ability to rethink when we move to the cloud. We now have the ability to, in the cloud, still remove some of those challenges we previously had, but now look at it from a more holistic perspective. Is there a need to actually partition our environment a little bit more, rather than going to that single environment, moving towards a multi sort of instance environment? We can see some of the examples here of where we might do that. It's providing organizational autonomy. We might want to segregate our data based on the sensitivity of the data. That might be another reason why we want to have multiple environments. And we might want to have different customizations, marketplace plugins as an example, based on the different environments. So it gives us an ability to look at your environment with a refresh and determine what the best path forward is. That's part of our enterprise plan. So there is an aspect of that that's an additional cost, but that ability to have multiple instances and then still have something like the data lake and the analytics capability to pull that information together and do that consolidated reporting might be a really valuable sort of path to follow in your organizations. If we look at Atlassian, we have different sort of flavors of Jira. So we've gone down that path of having multiple instances of Jira. We can see we've got one around the dev teams working in, we've got one around our security teams working in, finance teams. We can understand maybe in terms of finance and security, there's some data sensitivity issues there that we're trying to maintain control over. Trello team working in their own Jira, and also our support team that have that public interaction are working in their own Jira environment as well. So that's an example of what might be appropriate within your organization. So we can look at potentially partitioning our environments based on the corporate structure, our geographical locations. Maybe we have different data residency requirements based on different geographical locations, acquisitions or mergers, different business units within an organization, or different security requirements. So that really brings me to the end of that session. I hope that was somewhat informative to you, and I'll pass over now to Alevia to kick on from there.
All right. Hope everybody can hear me okay. Oh, good. Yeah, thank you all for coming. It's so good to have such a good turnout. I spend most of my time behind a screen, so how nice to actually get to speak to you guys in person today. Yeah, my name's Alevia. I'm a delivery manager at GLiNTECH on our agile tooling practice. And I like to think that, on my team we get to play with all the fun, cool, exciting things that Atlassian are coming out with, a few of which I'll be talking to you about today. So until recently, using Jira looked a lot like this, trying to fit all of our teams, business teams, support teams, everything into Jira software. And really it was for good reason, an attempt to get some standardization and meaningful views and insights, and hopefully to get away from manual reporting. But more recently, as you're all aware, and really why we're here today, Atlassian have come out with some new and exciting products, so we really don't have to do this anymore. But with these new products, it can also be a bit overwhelming and confusing as to when to use each tool and how and when and why. So I'm hoping this morning will not only clear this up for you, but help you determine how these new cloud products can fit into your organization and make your day-to-day lives, reporting, collaboration a lot easier at the end of the day. So instead of seeing this, we start to see something like this. We have different products to support all the different phases of work that we're doing. So we can strategize and collaborate and document in Confluence. We can do all our discovery activities that we're already doing in Jira Product Discovery. We can deliver not only in Jira Software, but in Jira Work Management now. And of course, we can continue to support in JSM. And spanning all of these, as you can see across the top, is Atlas as well, which is all about connecting our teams no matter where they do their work. So for today, I'm going to be diving into these three tools in particular. Jira Work Management, it's all about Jira for everybody. It's not just for technical teams anymore. Atlas, as I said already, connecting our teams and keeping them in the loop no matter where they work. And lastly, Jira Product Discovery, providing a dedicated place and some structure to your discovery activities. Now, I could spend all day talking about this stuff, so my biggest challenge is going to be to kind of cram this into 10 or 15 minutes. So with that, let's dive into Jira Work Management. And to start this off, I know it's not a new product, but I just have a quick video just to get us familiar with the tool in case it's new to anybody here. So with Jira Work Management, it's its own type of product. It's its own type of Jira project as well at the end of the day, as you can see here. And lucky for you, Atlassian put a lot of time into creating so many templates, over 20 templates, I've lost track, to help you not only kind of wrap your head around different ways to use the tool, but to also save you time and help you get started quickly. So you can see a lot of the templates here. There's procurement, employee onboarding, all sorts of stuff. And lastly, I just kind of briefly show you what the tool looks like. As you can see, it's really approachable, user-friendly. It looks like anybody could use it. And yeah, I think that's kind of the key takeaway. I'm going to use those words, approachable, intuitive, user-friendly, a lot this morning, but yeah, that's the key to Jira Work Management. So if we take a step back to understand how, there we go, to talk about how Jira Work Management came about. Before this tool existed, Atlassian realized that 40% of Jira software users were actually business teams. They weren't technical teams. So if we think marketing, finance, HR, legal, they're all wanting a more user-friendly and intuitive take on Jira software. And with that, Jira Work Management was born. And as you just saw, it's a very modern work management tool. It looks friendly and approachable and can really help make change, such as introducing a new tool into your company, a lot easier on your users. It was created with non-technical users in mind, and you can really feel this when you're using the tool. And lastly, it connects our business teams with their technical counterparts already using Jira software for easier collaboration. So for example, if we have a marketing team that's working on something related to delivering a new website, your technical teams that are delivering that website are most likely already in Jira software. So now you can have all your teams working together seamlessly, but within tools that suit them. And you can do things like roll both these teams' work up into advanced roadmaps or into dashboards or into Confluence reporting, for example. So diving a bit deeper into the problems that Jira Work Management solves, simply put, if you're needing a simple, user-friendly work management tool that requires minimal training, number one, and you can get started in really quickly, Jira Work Management is the perfect tool for that. People still love their spreadsheets. I did once upon a time as well. Jira Work Management is the perfect way to get these teams that are really comfortable in their spreadsheets into your Atlassian stack because it's so easy to use, it looks nice, it even looks and feels familiar with things like the list view, which is a table view of your work, or calendars and timelines. A lot of our clients approach us because they have a company-wide objective for moving all their teams into Jira, whether it's for better oversight or holistic reporting, or to consolidate their tools, to save money. And Jira Work Management can make this transition a lot easier for those business teams. Lastly, if there's a general lack of collaboration because our teams are using so many different tools and they've ended up in silos, Jira Work Management is a great solution to bring all these types of teams together onto the same platform. And my favorite line, really, to describe Jira Work Management is it's simple, but it's not basic, because it harnesses all the power of Jira software, from automations, workflows, flexible permissions, custom fields, you name it. And that's because it's a Jira project still at the end of the day. It still has those Jira admin functionalities that we're all familiar with. But because it's its own type of project, you get some unique views that are unique only to Jira Work Management. And we're going to take a look at some of those now. So before I start this video, I do just want to quickly touch on, we're all familiar with Kanban boards, but I love how, let me start that. In Jira Work Management, you can actually group your columns by different fields other than status. So it's simple, but it's just a really useful view to kind of see how your work is distributed in different ways. From there, I just jump into the list view. This is by far our client's favorite view within Jira Work Management. As you can see, you can do inline editing, which is really powerful because you can make updates to your work while viewing it in context of all the other work that you have going on. Again, it's a simple feature, but it's really useful and can save you a lot of time. You don't have to drill into all your issues anymore to make updates. I'll quickly just show you what the calendar looks like. Pretty straightforward, but really useful for teams that work with date-reliant type work. And similarly with the timeline or a Gantt chart view of your work. They're so easy to interact with. You can drag and drop your issues around. You can see the assignees with the little avatars, and you can even indicate blockers and dependencies and adjust your dates accordingly. These views really showcase, I think, how Jira Work Management feels familiar to everybody, even if you've never used Jira before. It's really intuitive, and it makes it a great solution for getting teams new to Jira onto the Atlassian platform. The videos keep playing, I don't know why. To wrap this up, I just want to go through some of the latest updates we're really excited about within Jira Work Management. And I'm going to start with overviews. These are such a really easy way to get holistic views that span multiple Jira Work Management projects. And they're so easy to set up, so I just have a quick video to show you what this looks like. So I'm just going to click Create an Overview, give it a name. All you have to do is select the different Jira Work Management projects you want to bring into your overview. By clicking Create, it's as easy as that. I now have this fantastic dashboard that spans multiple Jira Work Management projects. And you can see there, for example, all the statuses are coming in to this single dashboard. So if you have teams that are working in different ways, you can still get really great holistic views of all the teams. You also get that calendar view as well, spanning multiple, I'm saying teams, or multiple Jira Work Management projects. And you get that timeline view as well. So here you can even do things like show blockers or dependencies that span multiple Jira Work Management projects and visualize them here within the timeline. Next, we'll jump into forms. Now, forms are not new to Jira Work Management, but recently the access changed to forms. So I think it's a really good time to talk about these again because, in my personal opinion, the new access kind of takes these to the next level. And before I jump into how these work, forms are really good for gathering information from stakeholders that you don't necessarily want in your Jira Work Management project, but you want them to be able to create issues in your project. So if you're a team supporting other teams, you can give them the ability to create issues within Jira Work Management while keeping them out of their project. So we'll just show you quickly what this looks like. I've already created a task form here. They're so easy to chop and change to show exactly what you want to see. You can add context to any of the fields if you want. I've added an information panel there as well. And it's as easy as dragging and dropping your fields around to get them organized however you want to make sure you're collecting the right information. And from there, I just click on Preview, and this URL is what you can share with those stakeholders that you want to be able to create issues within your Jira Work Management project while keeping them out of your project. So yeah, it's just a great tool to be able to collect information really easily from your stakeholders. And that access I mentioned, this is the most recent change, which is fantastic. So recently, these forms were what are called limited now. So you could only use them with users that had create issue project permissions within your work management project. And I think that maybe upset a few people because they maybe didn't want people to have that sort of access within their project. They just wanted to be able to share those forms with their stakeholders. So now Atlassian have introduced this new open access. So anybody with access to your instance can access this form and submit the form to create an issue within your Jira Work Management project while keeping them out of the project. And lastly, I just want to touch on filters. I love the new user experience with creating filters in Jira Work Management. And most recently, Atlassian added the ability to create saved filters. And again, it's so simple, but it's such a time saver for all the different conversations you need to have and the different ways you want to view your data. So I'll just show you what that looks like now. And as you can see, it's so easy to create a filter now. All you have to do is click a few buttons. Basically, you can click on assignees, categories, and just add a couple different things here. But basically, I'm building quite a complex filter, and I'm not needing to write JQL anymore. All I'm doing is clicking these buttons, and from there, you can click Save Filter, give it a name, and now that filter will always be easily accessible. So this can really save time when you're having all sorts of different conversations, and you need different views of your data to support those conversations. And I just show you there as well. You can also star your filters. When you start to get a really long list of them, you can easily save the ones that you need to use the most. So again, simple but really effective stuff. So yeah, tying this all up around Jira Work Management, we no longer have to try to fit all of our teams into this single box. It's no more one size fits all, because we now have a tool that was designed specifically for our business teams. And it's incredibly easy to use. I hope that was pretty obvious. Yet it still speaks the same language as Jira software. So it's really easy now to have seamless collaboration and reporting across all of our teams. And obviously, to use Jira Work Management and all these new features, you have to be in the cloud. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Will just to talk about some different approaches we have for that. Good.
Thanks, Alevia. I do like work management. It's got a really nice feel to it. I like the summary page, and also it looks a bit prettier than software, I suppose. So the question today also is to migrate or not migrate. And migration was the only option for a very long time. But GLiNTECH has come up with a second option as well. If you are still on server, you have about 5 months to go. So clock is ticking. We have our cloud experts here today, so please have a chat to them today if any of these options interest you. It really depends on how attached you are to your data and whether it's in the too hard or expensive basket. But migration can take your server instance to cloud. It is quite complex, but we've got it down pat. We've got a framework that's been tried and tested. We also have another option which is called Start Fresh, where you can draw a line in the sand and just do that, start fresh. We have an accelerator package that we can introduce to you, and we can set you up with zero downtime, which is probably very attractive to a lot of clients. You can start using cloud tools within 4 weeks. So if that's something that is appetizing, please let us know. The framework that you see there is the migration framework. Worth mentioning, we've migrated more clients successfully in APAC than anyone else. So you're in safe hands. We've got dedicated cloud migration teams and also cloud migration managers to look after you every step of the way. Start fresh. Here's the framework. If it's something that you want to look at and leaving all your skeletons behind, please let us know. We can have a chat today and also send you some more information. To prove that we know what we're doing, we've also won the Global Award for Cloud Migrations. So our approach is the best in the world. So with that, I'll hand you back to Alevia for an overview of another cloud product, Atlas.
Cool, thanks. All right, me again. Yeah, so now we're going to talk about Atlas. And Atlas is all about connecting your teams, no matter where they work, with the projects and goals that are going on within your organization at any time. So to start us off, I have another quick video just to familiarize yourselves with Atlas because it is a very new product. So we'll just take a look at what it looks like. As you can see here, you just get a really good overview of how your projects are tracking, and it kind of feels like Twitter, or whatever Twitter's called now. So you can just get a really quick glance at how things are tracking at any time. And you get some really good overviews as well of your projects. You can see how they're tracking, who owns them, when they're likely to wrap up, and similarly with goals. Again, that was a very quick snapshot. We'll be diving into these views in a little bit more detail, but just to give you something to reference in case you're new to the product. There we go. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Atlas spans all of your tools. It goes beyond what is even showing here. So even your tools outside of the Atlassian platform, Atlas is meant to include those as well. So if we're thinking about this cloud utopia that we're all moving towards and not fitting teams into boxes anymore, but allowing them to use the specialized tools they need to optimize their work. So for example, yes, we'd love it if all business teams were in Jira Work Management and all of our technical teams were in Jira software, but it may not be realistic, and that's okay. A common problem our clients have is just lacking that visibility across all their teams because they're working in so many different tools. And it's really hard to understand how work is tracking when you're factoring in the 130 products that our clients are using. Unless you're in status update meetings all the time, which, as you know, these start to really fill up your calendars and take up valuable time. And Atlassian themselves had this issue, which resulted in the creation of Atlas. So what is it? Atlas provides that place to connect the dots across your people and their work wherever it happens. So not just in Jira, but also for teams across various and specialized tools. It enables every team to openly communicate and get context about the work that's taking place across your organization. And this really is the key to achieving alignment in those asynchronous ways of working that we're all striving towards. So if I could wrap up Atlas in one word, I'd say it's definitely all about communication. And it enables this communication by bringing together what's at the core of every organization, people and their work. So the projects and goals and people and teams are absolutely the core pillars that make up Atlas. So if we just want to dive into the challenges that Atlas can help us overcome, and it's probably already starting to become clear, but if there's a general lack of communication across your teams, Atlas can help you fill this gap. And particularly for teams across various specialized tools. So with the explosion of SaaS, there's a tool for absolutely everything now, probably multiple tools for everything. It's awesome, but it's easy to become disconnected. And similarly for distributed teams. So hello, working from home, I do it, or working from anywhere. We love it, but again, it's really easy to become disconnected. So Atlas can help us reconnect these teams really easily. And lastly, if your calendars are simply cluttered with status update meetings, or you simply have that desire for these more asynchronous ways of working and less manual reporting, Atlas was designed for exactly that. And with that, Atlas complements the tools that your teams already use. It's not designed to replace Jira, Asana, Monday.com, Trello, Confluence, you name it. But it amplifies them by enabling communication across all of these teams. And it does this by establishing a common vocabulary, enabling anybody to quickly answer, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? Who's working on it? And how's it going? And it does this by facilitating a synchronized habit. So your users or your followers will get project updates every week and goal updates every month. And users can follow the things that are important to them, or if you have some users you need to manage up, you can decide what they should be following as well, which is key. But you get these personalized updates weekly wherever you want, so whether it's an email, Slack, Teams, you name it. So in a nutshell, if Jira, for example, was used to communicate within a team, Atlas is used to communicate outside the team. Oh, there we go. And yeah, the key focus is all around these daily digests or these overviews of how things are tracking. And it's all about providing tweet-sized updates with just enough context to keep everybody informed. So these short and sweet updates not only are more relevant and are easier to digest for your stakeholders, but they also save time by minimizing the need for those meetings and promoting a much more self-service habit of providing and also gathering information. And with that, each project has their own homepage, and these projects are, these homepages provide instant answers to questions that can be really hard to answer unless you know who to ask or where to look. So you can view recent updates at any time on the project. You can get information like lessons learned, risks, and decisions. And that right-hand panel shows you who owns the project, who are the teams that are contributing to the project. What goal does that project contribute up to? Also, if there's any other Atlas projects that relate to it, you can link them here. And lastly, you can see where it's tracking. So all of that kind of comes back to those 4 questions I mentioned: the what, the why, the who, the how's it going. Further, Atlas also provides really flexible goal tracking, and it becomes your source of truth for tracking your goals. So however your organization tracks goals, whether it's KPIs, OKRs, you name it, you can really easily build and track these within Atlas and easily see what's on or off track at any time. And of course, you can get much more information than that's showing here if needed, because each goal also has their own homepage. So you can see over on the left-hand side what projects are contributing to this goal, who owns the goal. If it has any sub-goals or child goals that sit underneath it, you can dive into those if needed. And lastly, the teams that are contributing to this goal. So again, you can get a lot of answers just at a quick glance, which is what we love about it. And lastly, I'm going through this really quick, but the last feature of Atlas I wanted to touch on is just to show you just how easy it is to use Atlas with Jira software. And that's by using the Atlas for Jira Cloud app, which is, of course, free. And I have a video to show us just how easy this is. I'm going to come over here so I can see. So from our project overview page, you can also do things like create save filters if you want to dive into red and amber, for example. From here, I'll just dive into a project, check out my recent updates, or gather any additional information I want. But if you want to dive into this a little bit more, I'm going to head over to this initiative that's in Jira software. And down at the bottom, you can see the goals that are pulling in from Atlas that this initiative contributes to, and you can see how they're tracking. And on the right-hand side, we also have a status update panel that shows you how the project is tracking in Atlas, and you can get all that context from the project homepage directly within Jira software. So it's that easy and it's that seamless to use the 2 tools together. And tying this all up, I hope it's pretty clear now, Atlas is all about just bringing your teams together no matter where they work and connecting them and keeping them in the loop, and getting rid of those status update meetings, and promoting a more self-service way of working. So with that, I'm going to put Warren on the spot, if that's okay. We are aware that obviously Atlassian created this product to solve some problems that they were having with connecting teams. So I'd love to just hear quickly before a break, how you like using Atlas.
Yeah, thanks for that question. So look, hand on heart, Atlas is my favorite Atlassian product at the moment. And it's not because it's a new product and it's shiny and I'm sort of interested in technology. It's really because it helps me solve problems in my day-to-day life. And so as a pre-sales person, a solution engineer, always talking to customers on a daily basis, I'm waiting for those enhancement requests to be satisfied, those new features to be released, to allow me to keep on top of that information and to have an understanding when we're getting that feature is going to be available, and when I can start talking to my customer around that, and getting an understanding if for some reason it goes off track and what the new date might be, is really sort of important to me. So it allows me to really keep my finger on the pulse. Atlassian is incredibly transparent open company. That in itself creates a plethora of information, and it sometimes is really hard to find things. Again, Atlas is solving that. We are a 10,000 plus remote working organisation. And so the ability to have something like Atlas that gives me that understanding of what's going on, allows me to follow those things that I'm interested in, is really powerful. And from a goal perspective, I love it as well, because just understanding what we're trying to achieve from an organisational perspective, being able to see how we're tracking against those key results, those key performance metrics that we're measuring, is really insightful to me as an individual, and it helps me sort of, I guess, in the way that I view the work that we're doing. So that's my answer.
Fantastic. Thank you. And yeah, with that, we're going to have a quick 5-minute break. So please, get caffeinated, get some snacks, and yeah, we'll see you in 5 minutes. Thanks, guys.
So this is a really sort of shiny, cool technology thing that has got my interest. So definitely something that I'm very excited about talking about today. Like any sort of nerd, I've got about 30 minutes worth of content to give to you in the next 10 minutes. So let's do our best to try and get through it as best we can. The focus really of this session is to show you some of the use cases, how we're using Atlassian Intelligence within our products. And we're actually in an early access program at the moment. Some of you might be on that early access program. If you are, you would see some of these capabilities already. But we'll be looking to expand on those use cases as we continue our journey with Atlassian Intelligence. So let's ask Atlassian Intelligence, what can it help us do? So the first thing it can help us do is to get instant help. So if we look at that from a Jira Service Management perspective, we have what we call our virtual agent. Now the virtual agent is actually in beta at the moment. It'll be GA towards the end of this year at the moment. And so we can actually ask in this case, within Slack, we can ask a question within this Slack channel that's being managed by the virtual agent. So Jane's asked her question around Figma access. The virtual agent has come back and with a response there, just to introduce itself. In actual fact, within Atlassian, we call our virtual agent Charlie. So Charlie has come back and introduced himself as a team member. And then it's asked the question around the question to get a better understanding. It's solicited additional response from Jane. And then it's ultimately sort of been able to identify what the actual request was and hopefully drive towards a resolution. If it doesn't drive towards a resolution, at the very least we've got to the stage where there's an amount of information that's been captured before it gets that human agent. And we can see in this case, Atlassian Intelligence has been able to provide the access that Jane has required. So what we've found within Atlassian, we're eating our own dog food. We're actually seeing the virtual agent respond to greater than 50% of the requests that are coming through. So that's been taken a real sort of workload off our agents, our actual service desk people, and so it gives us that more immediate response to our users, and it lightens the load in terms of those more detailed investigations that our service teams are having to perform. So we've seen about getting instant help. Let's look at the next topic here around speeding up work. So what we're looking at here is Jira Service Management again. We're looking at a particular Jira issue that's been raised around someone spilling coffee on their laptop. Now, we might be in a situation where we are going through a shift handover. Maybe we're doing follow the sun support, and we've been working on this issue. We want to hand it over to one of our colleagues. In this case, we've asked Atlassian Intelligence to summarise all the activity associated with this ticket. And we can see Atlassian Intelligence has created that summary for us, including detailed the deflection, the knowledge articles that we have pointed the user to as well. So that shows us how we can speed up work. Let's look at how we can accelerate our work. Again, we've got our issue around the coffee spill. We're actually responding to the end user. We actually just typed in your new laptop will be available on Thursday. But what we actually then have asked Atlassian Intelligence is to provide a different tone around that response. So Atlassian Intelligence is going to create a new response for us, using, in this case, a more empathetic tone. If we think about that from a service desk perspective, that starts to play into having greater customer satisfaction in our service desk. So we're able to change the way that we're responding to be more sort of, I guess, embracing by our users. Always with Atlassian Intelligence, it's giving us an option of what we might move forward with. We don't have to necessarily accept what it's given us. And so in this situation, we might just want to make a minor change to that response before sending it to the user. So we'll go and remove that last sentence, and we'll go and put a new response in there, and we can send that off. So Atlassian Intelligence isn't necessarily the end answer, but it's giving us a really good start on providing that answer. In this case, we're looking at a Jira software. We're working on a particular issue here. We're putting together some sort of specs around the work that's required. So we're going to go and ask Atlassian Intelligence to provide us information around the most recent iOS releases so we can provide a support matrix. Now, it understands the capabilities of the editor, but we're giving it some instructions around how to create that support chart. And it's gone off and sourced all that information and provided the content within our issue. Again, if we're happy with that response, we can go and save that response to the issue. Here we're in Confluence. In this particular page, we're looking at a transcript from a meeting that we've had, but it could just be any page that has a lot of information in it. But anyone that's been on Zoom calls, and I know I'm on a lot on a daily basis, you'd appreciate if we were capturing the transcript for that particular meeting. There'd be a lot of content there. And for us to go through that content at a later time and determine what are the decisions, what are the action items out of that, if we weren't capturing that information during the actual meeting, would be very difficult. So in this case, we're going to ask Atlassian Intelligence to go and summarize the actions and decisions on this page. So it'll go through and read that page and source that information for us. Again, we have the option of determining whether we are happy with that response or not as well. So it saved us a lot of time in terms of being able to pull out that information. Okay, let's talk about learn on the fly. So let's look at some use cases around that. Confluence, here we are. In Confluence, we're looking at a page, something to do with the Hercules project. There's lots of other terms in here that it's being highlighted there that we don't really know what they mean. So we can actually ask Atlassian Intelligence to explain those terms. In this case, we're going to highlight the fairy dust term and ask Atlassian Intelligence to explain that. We can see it's gone out and found out information about that. It's a project and provided information around that project. As well, it is actually pointing to additional content, whether that be from the actual Confluence page space itself or from other products, and it's pulling that together. And also, it's working out what teams are working on that as well. And so we have a model of our team structure within our own internal models to actually give us the information along those lines. So if we wanted to know who to go and talk to around the fairy dust project, we've got that indication of the teams that are involved with that project. And we've also got the ability to see down the bottom there, that how many people have verified this information. So it gets back to what I was saying before. Atlassian Intelligence is giving us a really good start. If we've got that then validated, that answer validated by a number of users, it gives us even more assurance around that response from Atlassian Intelligence. And we can add to that assurance as well by indicating that it was an appropriate response. All right, here we're doing a similar thing with the Pink Panther. We're asking for it to be explained, and again, we're getting that related work and identifying the teams that are contributing to that. Here, again, we've gone in Jira Software this time rather than Confluence and looking at that particular term and being asked to explain. So it doesn't matter where we are in the Atlassian tool set, we can use that explain capability, and it can source information from the broader sort of Atlassian tools. All right, and the last one we've got here is around answering anything. All right, so here we are in Confluence again. Actually, let's forget about we're in Confluence. Now we're in, it's caught me out there a little bit, but now we're in Atlassian Analytics. I spoke about Atlassian Analytics before. It's the ability to report against our Atlassian data lake. The way you do that, we have a no-code, low-code approach where you can go and create your own SQL query by just doing the typical sort of drop-down and selection process. But what you're actually going to do here, we're actually going to, in natural language, ask Atlassian Intelligence to create an SQL query for us. So we're going to go and ask Atlassian Intelligence to provide a response or a chart around completed Jira stories for a particular project that have been created through the customer help desk in the last month. I mean, you see it's actually generating that SQL for us. Now, if we're a business user or a novice user, we're not particularly familiar with SQL, then that's a pretty sort of complex SQL query it's actually generated for us. You can see there's a number of joins in there that's been created, but it's been able to hopefully capture the information we're looking for and then present that chart for us that we can then include on one of our dashboards within the Atlassian Analytics capability. Again, if we sort of feel it's not quite getting the information that we're interested in, we can make modifications to that SQL, but using that as a starting point. We can do the same thing with JQL in Jira. So most people are familiar with Jira query language. It's the way we go and, again, query issues within the Jira platform. So in this case, we're going to use the JQL approach here, but we're going to actually ask again in natural language what we're interested in looking at. And so in this case, we're going to ask Atlassian Intelligence which mobile app features are blocking next week's launch and are unassigned or missing Figma designs. It's gone off and created that JQL for us. Again, we have the opportunity to modify that, but ultimately we'll go and accept that and issue that query, and we can see the various issues, Jira tickets that are being matching that particular request. So hopefully that gives you a bit of a feel for some of the use cases around it. Obviously, as I said before, we'll continue to expand those use cases. Some of these you could actually ask are more sort of task-oriented. How do we make sort of things just work a little bit easier? But you can imagine as well, we'll actually start to point at and look at sort of that ability to look at a broad amount of data to make some sort of informed, decisions or informed details around what might be happening within your environment. So hopefully that gives you a good feel. I'm happy to sort of talk about Atlassian Intelligence beyond this. We have the early access program you can subscribe to today, and hopefully you'll all be using this within your Atlassian solutions in the near term. Thank you.
And yeah, the AI stuff is so cool. It's a bit of a tough act to follow, but we'll see how we go. So yeah, the last product I want to talk to you guys about today is Jira Product Discovery. And oh, look, I try not to be biased towards any products, but I love Jira Product Discovery, and I'll probably start calling it JPD throughout my presentation. So that's what I'm referring to. And yeah, our clients are already really starting to love the tool as well. But with Jira Product Discovery, it's all about giving you a dedicated space to gather all the great ideas that your teams have and do all that pre-work that's required before your epics, your initiatives, or whatever it is hit your backlog. So it makes it really easy to gather information, to prioritize however you want, and be really confident and transparent in deciding what the best stuff is to work on. So with that, I'll start us off with a quick video just to show you what the tool looks like in case it's new to anybody here. Similar to Jira Work Management, it's its own type of Jira project and product as well, as you can see here. And I just quickly click into a project to show you kind of what it looks like. It has a very similar look and feel a little bit to Jira Work Management. As you can see, it's just really nice to look at, which is kind of half the battle sometimes with getting people on board. And in this list view, for example, you can do that inline editing again, which we love, just saves a lot of time. Next, I just quickly show you a priority scoring view. I'm going to go into this in a lot more detail, but just to kind of give you a flavor of what that might look like. It's such a cool feature of JPD. And lastly, there's also a matrix view as well. And there's some other views as well. I don't go into them all today. I don't have time, but our clients are really loving the matrix view. It's just kind of a new, fresh view that we're not used to having within Jira. And it's interactive, and you can get quite a bit of information just at a single glance. So kind of mapping this all out for you, because it can be a bit confusing of how JPD might work or how it might fit into your life cycle of your work. So we'd start with creating all of our ideas now in JPD. They don't have to be in your Jira software backlogs or in spreadsheets anymore. Hooray. From there, we want to gather all the information we need to help inform on the decisions that we want to make. So we can do things like gather insights. We can dive into more details around what these are and the demo stations if you need. From there, we can create customized formulas and calculations to help you really easily prioritize the work and make it very clear what work we should be moving ahead with. It's also really easy to gather stakeholder feedback in different ways as well. And from there, when you've decided what ideas you want to work on, you can then create your Jira software tickets, they call them in JPD, but your Jira software issues from directly within the tool. You don't even have to leave the tool to create your issues in Jira software. And I'll be diving into that in more detail as well. But if we take a step back and answer the question, what actually is product discovery? And by that, I mean the act of product discovery, not Jira. And it's all about continuously validating what to work on and why. And JPD was created to help with exactly that, because it puts the act of discovery at the forefront instead of leaving it as an afterthought. And it enables you to proactively make decisions, with proactive being the key word here, as often discovery is reactive and we're all just trying to stay afloat. But JPD can help us get that one step ahead by being confident in our decision making. It also makes it much easier to focus on strategic work because it gives you that dedicated space for ideas to be reviewed and prioritized. And lastly, it provides a systematic approach to gather all that information we need to gather when we're trying to make these decisions. And I personally love anything that brings structure to things that are otherwise chaotic. So I think that's why I really like this tool. Basically, you can easily gather all the important information relevant to each idea, review those ideas in context to all the other ideas you have going on to make the best decision on the way forward. So looking a little bit more into the problems that JPD can help you solve. The majority of clients are still doing this work in spreadsheets, believe it or not. Obviously, this is disconnected from Jira, so there's going to be some sort of double handling when we want to get our ideas over into your backlog so we can start delivering them. Or the other problem we're seeing is these ideas are filling up our backlogs in Jira software, which becomes noisy and overwhelming, and you just have this never-ending list of stuff that's kind of hard to make sense of. So with JPD, you can keep these separate and away from where the teams are delivering their work in Jira software. Next, it's so easy to create different and flexible views that are always up to date. And this will obviously help reduce any manual updates for your stakeholders and result in less meetings, less bespoke reports you build for all your various stakeholders. And lastly, if we're just looking to define your prioritization process in a place that's integrated with the tools that you're already delivering your work in, JPD was designed for exactly that. So it's all about bringing order to chaos and providing transparency and context and confidence in your decision making. Next, I'm just going to dive into some of my favorite features. And look, I could probably talk about this for hours, but I'm not allowed to today. So I've tried to narrow it down to some of my most favorite things about the tool. And the first one is all about workflows. So JPD uses the team managed style workflow builder, so it's so easy to create customized workflows directly within your JPD project. It's not a Jira admin function. And it really helps you to keep your ideas organized, and you can easily understand where in the life cycle they're at any given time. But more importantly, in my opinion, it helps you to organize your ideas into different views, because obviously we want to get away from that one never-ending list of ideas. So it's just like kind of a new way to think about your workflow. How can we triage these ideas into different ways to keep them organized? And I have kind of a brief example of here. In the top of that workflow, there's that loop that goes up to revisit in 1 month. So if we have some ideas that we just don't have the bandwidth to focus on right now, we can triage them up into that status. And then you can do things like create sections of views are kind of like page trees for Confluence users, to filter these away, and then you can use an automation, for example, to resurface them again in a month or in 3 months, or just come back to this view if you decide you have a little bit more bandwidth to bring on some new ideas. The next feature is all around how easy it is to create these flexible views and to help you get away from manual reporting. I've put together a very quick video just to show you what it would be like to create a matrix in the tool, in case some of you haven't used this tool yet. So I have some custom fields I've created here, impact and effort, and they're what's called a rating custom field with those cool dots. From there, I just head over to create a new view, and I've select the matrix view. We'll give it a name, add an emoji, they look nice. And from there, it's as easy as adding those custom fields into our X and Y axis. So my X axis is going to be that impact custom field, and the y-axis will be our effort, of course, and it's as easy as that to get your matrix view plotted out for you. But what I really like is you can introduce a third metric to the size of your plot points. So in this example, I've added team votes just to kind of bring in that stakeholder feedback into this view. You can do things like drill into the plot points to get more information. And also, we can add more fields to these cards on the right-hand side. So you can actually get a lot of information in a quick glance, which our clients always love. You don't need to click around to get all this different information. You can have it all here in that view. And I just like to show as well at the end there, it's an interactive view, so you can re-rate ideas within the matrix as well. So it's as easy as that to create a new view. The next one is all around custom formulas, and I'd say our clients are probably the most excited about this because it's so easy to create your own customized prioritization directly within the tool. And I've put together an example. I hope this makes sense and you can kind of relate to this. You may not prioritize it in this way, but maybe you can see how JPD might support your way of prioritizing. So in this example, I've created some custom fields on the left-hand side. And those are those rating custom fields with the dots. There's actually 6 set up. I'm just showing 3 here to save some real estate on this slide. But effectively, each of those rating fields roll up to either one of these 3 metrics that you see in the middle of the screen. So that's desirability, viability, and feasibility. So for anybody that's familiar with DVF prioritization, that's exactly what we're doing here. So for example, if I think it says improve CX and target state roll up to desirability, we're simply just summing up those dots. That's all we're doing here. So there's 4 dots and 4 dots, so we're getting an 8 for desirability and so on. But from there, we want to combine those DVF metrics together to get one final score to make it very clear what we should be working on. But with that, we've decided that viability has a little bit more weight. It's a little bit more important than those other 2 metrics. So we can also create a custom field that is a weighted score and provide that weight here on the right-hand side. So you can see viability has 45% weight and so on. And that'll bring us to this final score. So with that, I put a quick video together just to kind of show you what this looks like in action. So I've updated the status to prioritization to triage that off to our priority scoring view. And from here, it's as easy as clicking through those 6 different rating fields to give our score. They jump around a little bit because they have some sorting on, but it's as easy as that. They roll up into the DVF, those 3 different metrics, and you can see here, target state and improved CX make up that desirability score. And from there, those roll up into that weighted final score to really clearly show you what you should be working on. You can add some fun colors and rocket emojis and stuff to really drive the point home of what we should be focusing on. The last feature I'm going to touch on with JPD is all around delivery. And similar to Atlas, it's such a seamless experience for using JPD with Jira software together. Now, this video moves really fast. I'm going to try and pause it when I need to make sense of all of it. But I'll first head over to my delivery list. And this is just filtered by a status. Now you can see here, this idea is already linked to a Jira software issue. And I'm going to pause it there. Well, let's expand the stories. There we go. So you can see you get some progress views. So that's pulling in from Jira software. So there's those colored dots on the list view, or you get this progress bar as well when you dive into that idea. And you can also see down the hierarchy. So in this example, this idea is an initiative. And you can see the epics and the children. You could even go down to subtask if you want. And you also get the status of those as well. So you get quite a decent amount of information without even leaving the tool. From there, I'm going to show you just how easy it is to actually create these Jira software issues from within JPD. So I'll just close out of here. And if I hover over this idea at the top, you get a button that appears that says create a delivery ticket. And I'll just click it again. From here, you can select the Jira software project you want to create the epic in this example. You can update the summary if you'd like. It's as easy as clicking create to then create an epic. So that epic now exists in that Jira software project that I just selected. It's as easy as that, a matter of seconds. And lastly, just to tie this up, we'll jump over into that epic to show you what this looks like. So we get this new link type that's called implements, as you can see there. So you always have that paper trail back to the original idea with all of that discovery and all that really good information that you collected while you're working in JPD. So you no longer have to bring that information into Jira software anymore, which just really helps keep things nice and clean and decluttered in Jira software. And lastly, just kind of a helpful tidbit, you can update the status of your idea from within Jira software as well. And if you can also view that workflow that we were using over in JPD. So it's as easy as that to use the two tools together. And lastly, I'm not going to go into the weeds on permissions, but one of my favorite updates that Atlassian made to Axis was the fact that your contributors are automatically granted, all of your Jira software users and JSM users and Jira work management users are automatically contributors in Jira product discovery. So they can do things like create ideas, add comments, add feedback, rate your ideas, whatever it is. They can interact within the tool without any additional licenses. So the licenses only relate to those creators, which kind of are in charge of setting everything up. So I love that update. And I also know I don't have it here, but on the roadmap is a new stakeholder role as well, which is more for our external stakeholders. So all they need is or all they will need when this rolls out is their own Atlassian account. It doesn't have to be within your instance. And they'll be able to see like controlled views. So you'll be able to share one of your views with them, and they'll be able to get real-time information on how your ideas are tracking. So really looking forward to that. To wrap this up, and coming back to this slide that we started on earlier this morning, I hope just speaking to you about how we're using these tools and what we're excited about also has you excited about all these new cloud capabilities. I'm a bit of a nerd, but I'm excited about all of them. They're really fun to work with. And I hope you really are starting to understand how they all kind of fit together and how they can support all of the different teams and all the different phases of work that you have within your organizations. And lastly, how easy it will be to collaborate across all these tools. It's really all quite a seamless experience. So with that, you're wondering kind of what's next or where to start. I'm going to hand it over to Will to wrap this up and just kind of talk through some different options we have on what's next. Thank you.
Thanks, Alevia. That was great. And JPD, fully integrated tool that should just really prove what Atlassian's been working on. And a lot of people are saying at last. So if something like JPD interests you, we do have accelerator packages available. And this is something that we provide to customers to have a look at their ideal state. We also have a day of software training to end users to make them comfortable with the tool. And then we also help you set it up to really match the way you work within your business. If acceleration is all something that you're interested in, we also have accelerated packages for training boot camps, and we've taken some feedback from customers about trainees being away from work too long. So we are using Atlassian training courses, we're adding some modules, we're baking in some best practices, and then we split it over some half-day courses so you can still stay on top of your work. If any of this interests you, please have a look on our website or grab me afterwards. I can pass on some information. And if you're not sure what you want, we also provide a free training needs analysis session to identify any training that you need, and we can also phase it accordingly. And after the session, please look out for the email that we'll be sending you with some information. It will contain things like the packages, also some white paper, and also information about the training guides. There'll also be tons of information on our website. And yeah, we've got consultants in the room. Please ask them questions after the session. We also have some demo stations if you wanted to see any of the products close up. And also those cloud experts to ask any questions about migrations or start fresh. Thank you for Atlassian for inviting us and hosting this event. We do love the space and we do appreciate your support. Thank you to the speakers for the great insights, and also thank you for your attendance today. Have a great day.